All right, we're live and on the air.
Indeed, we are. Guys, welcome to another episode of the SoFLo Sports Show. We are at episode 90. It's your host, 305 Sports Babe, co-host Lou from Dade. We are back from Houston, unfortunately without the win, but Our Finvasion was definitely a win. We had such a great time. We're definitely going to dive into all the ins and outs of the trip in a little bit. But yeah, our Dolphins did not come out with the win. We needed the win in Houston, and they weren't able to do it.
We didn't. It's hard to win on the road, and unfortunately, the knock on this team is that they can't not just win on the road, but they can't beat good teams, especially on the road. And another opportunity that we let go away. But as you mentioned, everything else was spectacular. I thought we did a great job in getting moving a lot of people out there and setting us up. The everything was there in front of us. We had the opportunity to get to 500. We'll get into the preview for this upcoming Sunday, and obviously the week's 16 schedule ahead, starting with tonight's game, the Chargers and the Broncos,
Big
which
game.
It would have been even bigger for us because the loser potentially would have gotten closer to us, and if it was the Chargers, well, we'll get into it. But obviously, the Dolphins missed a golden opportunity in Houston to get themselves right back into this and put themselves in a great position to make the playoffs.
Agreed. And let it be known that Houston, you said good team. That they are a good team. Are they a great team? No, they're not a great team. They're a good team. And that's what gets concerning is that, yes, we have typically lost against great teams, but now we're starting to lose against just good teams. So where does it break? So just not the outcome that we wanted, but on to this week, we know we have the 49ers coming to town. It's a 4:25 game at the Hard Rock Stadium. 49ers fans travel well, even though they have the same record as us. They're kind of in the same boat. They've had their fair share of injuries this season.
A lot of injuries.
Some significant, as well as us too. There will still be a Niners Nation will fill up the stadium a few days before Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are going to be coming down. They're had a bad season as well.
Yeah.
But hey, they're one of the top tier franchises of all time with their 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And so, that definitely travels. So we'll get to that in a moment. Look, I don't want to recap the game because it was obviously a big disappointment for us, but it needs to be said. There's a couple of issues here that have been the issues for a while now.
So can I start with something?
Go ahead.
Obviously, the big news that came into that game, besides the loss, was Grant DuBose. Grant DuBose took a very, very, very bad hit. And was it dirty? The Houstons have had the rumor, not the rumor, but, their defense does play a little dirty. Obviously, we saw that against what they did against Trevor Lawrence. And that hit against Grant was a dirtier hit. I wouldn't say terrible, but the way that he got hit and the way he fell was terrible. So he was on the ground for a good 15 minutes to the point where the Dolphins cleared the sideline and they created a prayer circle, a beautiful thing that they all dropped to their hands to their knees, and they prayed deep prayer. And
a couple times, actually.
A couple times, but you did see a formation of a circle, and you saw the same with the Texans, not so much a circle, but it was a scary hit. They did an EKG. They cut his jersey. They did an EKG right on the field with him, obviously checking for heart. And we learned later that they were looking for more of a head injury. He was rushed to a local hospital in Houston, and Houston is known for being one of the top medical capitals of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the Andersons there, just some of the great hospitals. So we already knew he was going to be in great hands. He did spend a few days being observed at the hospital. Thank goodness he came home, and he's in good spirits, and he seems to be okay.
Yeah.
So that was the big, kind of like, oh my goodness, out of that game.
Yeah, no doubt. And he was, placed on IR, obviously, so he's going to miss the remainder of the season. He just got, signed by the team with, obviously, before we did our last show, Odell Beckham was waived.
Yeah.
Was waived on Friday, as a matter of fact. I couldn't believe it. We woke up to the news that Odell was waived, 3 days before the game. Honestly, didn't make a big deal because he did nothing for us.
Yeah.
But so that's why Grant DuBose came up and unfortunately had a very short go with us. But again, thankfully he's okay and he's fine.
Yeah.
It was obviously a very scary moment.
Very.
Our seats were on the 30-yard line between the 30 and 40, and we had a direct view of it, the actual impact when he was hit. And then, as you mentioned, there was a couple of prayer circles that took place.
Yeah.
I got to mention RG3, Robert Griffin III, may have taken your picture, if we'll say, because you were the first one to tweet it out.
Everybody did.
He could have given you some kind of credit because it was definitely the picture you used. But whatever, I got to throw that out there.
RG3 should worry about his short stint in the NFL is what, 2 seasons?
Yeah, speaking about guys that got hurt, a lot. That was one, but he didn't. He kind of did what Tua's been doing here, and he just took on the hits instead of sliding. But either way, I've never been to a game that there was that big of a delay. You're talking about a 25-minute delay at least. From our standpoint, we had a direct view of it, and they had emergency medical personnel coming in from every tunnel. They brought out 2 carts. They brought out the stretcher.
Everything.
They actually didn't put him on the cart. I guess they didn't want to compromise.
Him first.
Yeah, right, moving him up or down. So they put him on a stretcher to a cart. They didn't put him on the actual the moving cart, the actual golf cart, if you will.
The stretcher.
They put him on a stretcher with wheels, and they just wheeled him out. So, but it was a very scary moment. Like I said, the delay of the game for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And very scary.
So if I could add on that, my boss, Father Manny Alvarez, was the chaplain for the Dolphins for 10 years. And he told me at the beginning of the season, oh, don't go to NRG, Texans, this and that. Like, he just had this thing against Houston. I really didn't understand why. And then, the hit happened to Grant, and then it actually made him think about the only one time when he was chaplain where he led the prayer circle, and that was the hit against Dustin Keller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
tight end.
So he said, it's very rare that you get into a full prayer circle with anything. People will go down and pray if someone gets hit, but the only time that he ever led the prayer circle was the Dustin Keller hit, which obviously was gruesome. It's very, very gruesome. Going back to that. So Grant is okay from what we heard. Another thing I want to bring up about the game, kind of after the game, that is really bothering me is Tyreek Hill's tweet. And I quote, Tyreek said, "It's time for me to go, coach." Tyreek has not had a good year.
Well, hold on. Before you say, so a lot of people are perceiving it in different ways. I think Michael Vick was recently announced that he's going to be coaching college. I think that was what Tyreek. But Tyreek says a lot of cryptic things.
He does.
He tweets a lot of fun stuff, but that's what I think he was talking about. I don't think he's trying to say that he wants.
So we really don't know, right?
Well,
because Tyreek, as you mentioned, he's very colorful. He's very vocal.
Right.
He doesn't hold back. And Tyreek just has not had the year that we're just used to him seeing, whether in Kansas City or here.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating. It's frustrating for us as Dolphin fans. It's frustrating for those people who draft him on their fantasy team. It's just frustrating, right? We have one of the best wide receivers in the league, and we're just not seeing those numbers this year. So, it's concerning. Where do we go from here? To me,
there's a lot of questions. There's 3 games left. So before we get into, burying and officially putting the tombstone on the season, which is about to happen. I mean, miraculously, we're still not eliminated yet, and we'll get into those scenarios. But we're still technically alive, even though I don't know what we would even do with that if we were to get in. But anyways, going back to the game, Tua obviously did really bad. 3 interceptions, 4 total turnovers. First interception was right before the half, where it was almost a pick 6. It actually ended up, only costing us a field goal, so 3 points. We go into the half down 13-6. But, in that particular moment, he forced that ball. Yeah. And if he doesn't do that and we hold on, we dominated the time of possession. The Dolphins really, offensively were able to move the ball. Yeah. They just turned it over when they were about to score. And unfortunately, if he doesn't throw that first pick and it's a 10-9 game, you're talking about a different game going into the second half. Obviously, they started the ball with the ball in the second half, and they scored again. So, but look, the knock on Tua has been he can't win the big games, and this was the biggest game of the year. Everything on the line, and he throws 3 interceptions, and he lost a fumble. So he had 4 total turnovers. You just can't do that. He did nothing to save the. I don't want to say narrative because everybody's been using that word, but he did nothing to dispel the label and the notion that he cannot win big games.
Also Sanders.
Yeah.
I've been hard on him,
You've been hard on him at the beginning of the year. The guy.
But now I really have a reason to.
But give him credit. The guy, here's what's crazy about it. He's been incredible from, field goals of distance, including, not this past week against the Texans, but 2 weeks ago against the Jets, a 50-plus yarder to send the game in overtime. The guy's been money. I think he's 19 out of his last 19 overall, but he's missed 2 extra points. And in this particular game, he had a huge extra point miss that even had Tua not thrown his last interception, if he would have drove down and somehow, got into 6 points, we would have had to have gone for 2 because, as you mentioned, Sanders missed the extra point. So that was tough to see as well.
Very much so. And then, Jonnu Smith and Waddle. Here, let's talk about Waddle. Waddle sustained an early injury early on in the game and did not come back.
Correct.
And that was all very hush-hush. And, he's had some explosive games this season, some not explosive games, but it would have been great to see an explosive 2.0 Waddle out there. Maybe could have made a difference.
No doubt. And this is a guy that, unfortunately, the injury bug has bit him. He hasn't played a full season. He's missed a bunch of games throughout his career. He's been missing in action for some of these games. He's often injured, and so that's something that needs to be addressed because he's another guy that was just signed long term, and you need to be healthy if you're going to be affecting these games, and so that's tough. Now I'll talk about the defense. The defense did a great job. As mentioned, the Dolphins controlled the time of possession, so the defense did their job. All the scores pretty much on their part were done because the Dolphins, gave them a short field with these turnovers, 4 turnovers.
Too. A lot of missed tackles.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the Dolphins gave the Texans a short field, and that's how they ended up scoring. And they only scored 20 points, all as a result of Dolphin turnovers that put them in a prime position. The Dolphins, got to C.J. Stroud 4 times. They put him down 4 times. He only threw for 131 yards.
He's a great quarterback.
He's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's still young. He was expected to do a lot better this year, coming off a playoff win in Baltimore last year, and he's regressed a little bit. He's not had a great season. The Texas has been up and down.
Very well loved. His fans love him.
Yeah, a lot of Stroud jerseys in the crowd, but only 131 yards. Defense did its job. Rushing, Joe Mixon, obviously been a stud all year. If you've got him on your fantasy team, you've been doing well. Texans only rushed for 77 yards. So if you would have told me going into the game, C.J. Stroud held to 131 yards, the rushing attack from the Texans, it's been formidable, 77 yards. I would have told you the Dolphins would have won the game by, 13 plus points. So it's really unfortunate that the deciding factor here was Tua not being able to, control where he throws the ball, give the ball away 3 times via interception, 1 time on a loose fumble, and there's your ball game right there.
One more thing?
Sure. I got one more thing too as well.
It might be the same thing I'm about to say.
Yeah.
It's probably the thing that annoys you the most.
Go ahead.
Dumb timeouts, no urgency. Is that where you're going?
I can't state this enough, and I lost my composure in the game, just screaming. Because we were, we had a perfect vantage point. The play clock, we saw the play in front of us at the 30-yard line. In this case, the final drive, before Tua throws a pick, and there's less than 2 minutes to go after we called our timeouts. We're, in a position to try and, get the ball, and they're huddling up when the clock's up against you. You only had 2 timeouts, and they didn't break their huddle. I'm looking at the play clock. I wasn't even looking at the team. I was looking at the play clock, and I saw they had not broke the huddle at the 8-second mark, and you just can't do it. I mean, if you've played the game of football, the game of football, you need to break that huddle at the 12, 13, 12-second mark to get set, and get that ball snapped. It was the 8-second mark, and they're still in the huddle. I knew they weren't going to get the play clock off. So, they get to the line of scrimmage, and sure enough, they have to call a timeout. And that was so costly. And this is not the first time that this has happened. This has happened in a playoff game in Buffalo. It happened in a playoff game last year in Kansas City. It happened in the last game of the season last year against Buffalo. We were playing for the division. This is strictly on the coach. Mike McDaniel needs to know better. Tua can, go out there, but if the play's coming in late, the coach has got to know better. And unfortunately, it seems as though he is unprepared. He does not know how to manage the game, and that could have it's cost us.
We're in a bad position right now. Obviously, a lot of our destiny is not in our own fate, if that makes sense. And there's a lot that needs to happen for us to even make the playoffs. So I think what we need to do is just move forward, look look forward to this week's matchup against the 49ers and just hope for the best because, there may be a shot that we have to win our last 3 games, right? And let's just dissect on that. We have the 49ers home this week.
Yeah, but
then we go to Cleveland next week.
Right.
And then we finish off our season.
Yeah, it's one game at a time. And again, it doesn't even matter at this point because you need so much help. But they really, before we put a bow on this and move on, really did themselves a disservice. They gave this freaking game away. They gave it away 4 times. To the point. 4 times they gave this game away.
No, I agree.
And it sucked.
So you guys may or may not have heard the news that obviously Dolphins have an international game next year. It is heavily, heavily, heavily being leaked that we will get the game in Spain, Madrid to be exact, which would be very, very awesome because we would definitely go. In fact, I already got my boss's blessing. He was like, I texted him, I sent him, I'm like, hey, we're going to get the game. And he was like, you need to go. So, I mean, if your boss tells you something, you're supposed to go, right? You're supposed to do your boss says.
Yeah, and I would feel inclined to go. I've actually been to Spain before.
Yeah,
I went with my dad my dad and my brother. We went to both Barcelona and Madrid. Yeah, so, it's been a long time. It's been over 20 years. Oh, long time ago. But I've been there before. It was beautiful. This game is likely headed to Madrid. Yeah. Of course, the Dolphins are one of 2 teams. The Dolphins and the Bears both have broadcasting rights in Spain. Yeah. So this is kind of put out there a long time ago.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this is Brazil we were being teased with. Now the only thing is this would be considered a Dolphins home game, so we would lose a home game.
That's right. We would lose a home game, obviously this year we didn't have one, but last year we were in Germany. Yeah. So the Dolphins have played in the UK, they've played in Germany. Now they're going to be the first team to play in Spain.
I would have
the first ever team, first ever NFL game period to be held in Spain. So that's going to be cool. The NFL obviously expanding the market, and it comes down to we know it's going to be one of these teams, and I'm going to ask you which home game you want to give up because this year. Obviously, now with a 17-game schedule, it's 9 and 8 is the balance. We had 8 home games this year, 9 road games. We were supposed to have 9 next year, but now we give them that one up. So it's going to be one of these opponents, and you tell me which one you would prefer.
I think it's going to actually, if I can just add what I was going to say,
sure.
I think it's going to be open week.
Yeah,
we're gonna open up. That'd be cool. I'd love that.
Some people, I saw some reports that they said October, November. Oh, but I think with the distance and with the fact that it's the first ever game in Spain, I think that's an opening game weekend. Kind of like what the Eagles and Packers did this year on Friday night. Yeah. So you open up the defending champ, whoever that will be. Yeah. Hopefully not the Bills or the Chiefs, anybody but those 2. But whoever opens up the season on Thursday Night Football as the defending champion will play on Thursday night, and then I'm with you. I think that the Spain game will be Friday night, just like they did in the game in Brazil this year.
I would also, just before you ask me my opponent, there are 2 other locations that if there was an international game, I'd like to go.
Okay.
You could probably guess where I'd like to go.
Mexico
City, yes.
Yeah, Mexico City.
I would love to see the Dolphins in Mexico City. I'm just preaching this. I'm putting this out into the universe. Mexico City would be the biggest fiesta literally ever. We have an amazing Dolphins Mexican fan club. And then how cool would it be a game in Italy? Like the Coliseum. Bring it back.
Well, you can't play the Coliseum.
I know, but how cool. So
maybe next to the Coliseum.
I'm just speaking but they have amazing soccer stadiums in Italy.
They do, of course. Yeah.
I will not be greedy. I'm super excited that we maybe go to Spain. But also, like Mexico City and Italy would be amazing. So, okay,
no doubt. So these are the opponents that could possibly be the team that the Dolphins will be playing in Madrid, Spain. Obviously, the 3 division opponents. I don't think they'll do that because I don't think they want to give the division opponent. They don't want to, put that overseas. They want to keep those rivalry games here. So, Bills, Patriots, Jets, but I don't think it'll be one of those. Then we're scheduled to play the Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals. The New Orleans Saints, which, fun fact, we've already played the Saints in an international game. We played them in the UK a couple of years back. Yeah. So the next opportunity will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I hope doesn't happen. I'll tell you why. They're right up the road from us.
It's an easy trip for
us. It's an easy trip. Well, that's a home game, but I'm saying for the Tampa Bay folks, you don't want to give them take that off the plate for them. A lot of Tampa Bay fans, it's an easy trip for them. So I don't think that's going to happen. AFC West, it could be either it'll be the AFC West second or third place team, depending on where we finish. Right now, we're currently second. Right. If that holds true, it'll be either the Broncos or the Chargers. And the last one, it could be the Washington Commanders. So one of those teams will be playing the Dolphins in Spain next year. Who do you think it's going to be, and who would you want it to be? What home game of those do you not want to give up?
That I don't want to give up?
You don't want to give up because one of them is going to be given up.
The Bucs, like you said, they have a great fan base. They're fun. It's an easy trip for them. We appreciate easy trips for us when we don't have to travel to Seattle or San Fran or wherever else we go on the West Coast. Ravens, I do not like Ravens fans, so I wouldn't want to see them over. I wouldn't want them to be in our Spain trip. So I'd pass on that one. I'd rather deal with them here. Saints.
I just mentioned the Saints and Dolphins have already played an international.
We won't get that one.
They already played an international game, those two teams, so I don't think it'll be them. Cincinnati Bengals, you want to see Joe Burrow.
I think it would be the Bengals.
You want to see Joe Burrow come to town, so I wouldn't want to give that one up. So, I think maybe it might be the Bucs, even though I don't think it should be. I think it might be the Bucs or possibly the Chargers. Coming from an LA market, that might be a big draw over there.
The Commanders,
Commanders are having a decent
year
this
year. They really are. So maybe they want to give it to them to help them grow their fan base and to show their fan base love and everything. I don't see that being a big, sexy Spain sell, though.
Right.
We're very subpar.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't even.
We'll see, but it's going to be one of those two.
Might be the Jets.
No, I don't think so. But it's going to be one of those teams. I don't think they'll make it a division rival. So it'll be one of those teams. And the big news, as you mentioned, the Dolphins will be playing a game in Spain next year.
So before we get into the Houston trip, which we're going to do next, I just want to take a moment and thank our good pal, the many good pals of many people, Michael Marchisi. He's part of our DCC team. He graciously gave me his Dolphin ticket for this Sunday, along with a yellow parking pass to be sold to profit our DCC. So, Michael, thank you so much. He actually has an amazing seat. He sits 50-yard line.
Yep.
Real good seat. And so for $200, do a donation to DCC, to my DCC team, you can get his tickets and also the yellow parking pass. So again, Michael, thank you so much for your love, your support. You mean a lot to us. And, let's all keep fighting the fight for DCC together. So if you are interested in that ticket, please either shoot me a DM or, give me a donation of $200 to the DCC, and I will be more than happy to transfer that ticket, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of DCC, I know you want to talk about the big Finvan social that we had.
One more thing.
Sure.
Okay, non-Dolphin related. I always have a little plug. So it was announced today. Obviously, you guys know a few weeks ago, Lou Carnesecca, beloved basketball coach, St. John's, did pass away at the age of 99 years old. Rest in peace, Lou. You're going to like this. I don't know if you saw it yet.
No.
Okay, there's going to be a St. John's Coming to America night.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Okay, it gets better. On December 28th versus Delaware. And if you have a physical ticket from the game, a ticket stub from the game on December 28th, 1987, you're going to be in a contest to win $1,000.
Wow.
How cool is that?
That's really cool.
So nice. I know that's one of your favorite movies, Coming to America.
Love that movie. Is that game going to be at the Garden? I don't think
it's at Carnesecca against that.
Yeah, I don't think they would put Delaware. I don't think that's a good sell.
No, it's not, but I think it's such a creative, fun idea. The movie was a great movie. And so it'll be Come to America night. So if you have a ticket stub from December 28th, 1987,
you got to go back.
You bring it, and you're entered to win a contest that night to leave with $1,000.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I know. I would love to go, but obviously we're not going to make that. But maybe a nice little Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. So Lou and I, 305 Sports Travel, we brought over 100 people to Houston, Texas. We left on Thursday. We had decent flight. We had flight was fine going there, no issues. Comfortable 2.5-2-hour flight. And we got there and it was icky out, right? Mm-hmm. Raining, whatever. We were exhausted. But we did go to this place that night called the Flying Saucer.
Yes.
And I did some research and I was like, hey, these are some of the bars that I want to go to. And it was pretty awesome.
It was a great bar.
It really was. So we started our night. We were exhausted, had a drink, had some pizza, and then we called it a night. Friday, we woke up and we knew that our guests, our people who are our people in our group were flying in that day. So we had a lot of work to do. So we made sure that we got to our host hotel, got everybody checked in.
Shout out to the Le Meridian Hotel.
We had a great time. Yeah, the hotel was
great
beautiful.
Setup. The hotel had dolphin colors, so that was one of the reasons why we picked
Obviously,
it.
you picked it.
Didn't want to give it as a surprise, but when I saw the pictures and when we were working with the hotel, it was all like an aqua background all over the wall. So that was a pretty cool touch. And, it was fun.
So we made sure everyone was good to the hotel. Then we took a little time in the afternoon. Lou was very determined to want authentic Mexican food. So that day we went to a place about 15 minutes east of Houston called Pierda y Micaela. Micaela, sorry. And you had a great meal. And then right after, I said, Lou, I did some shop. It was raining at that point. The weather was a little icky in the beginning of our trip. It definitely switched towards the end. Then I said, Lou, I got to get some shopping out of me. And he knew where I was going with that. We went to the world famous Galleria Mall.
The Galleria Mall,
it was
world famous mall.
We did some damage there.
They have ice skating. They have an ice skating rink in the bottom, huge tree. So huge mall, big mall.
It was great. And, I went to my favorite store, Forever 21. Everything was 50% off. Got some boots, some cowboy stuff. We had a great time. There. That night we had dinner plans, and I'm going to show you. Do you want to go with the pictures? Or
go with the pictures. I'll take it from here while you pull up the pictures.
Okay, so
good friend of the show, program Desi and his wife Darnell joined us at Shula's Steakhouse.
Pause.
Pause. What are we pausing for?
I gotta bring it a little closer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, she brings it over. Yeah. So our good friend Desi and his wife Darnell joined us over at Shula's Steakhouse. We knew there was a Shula's Steakhouse there, but we did not know that this was the last week where it would be open. It's actually transitioning to a different property. Let's get into it. So, this is us. Are they able to see us now?
Yeah, babes.
That's when we entered the airport. We land, obviously, Houston Space City, right? So the bottom there says landed in Houston. So had to document that of us riding.
Although we did not go to Johnson Space Center.
Right, that'll be next time.
It will be, and I think it's because obviously I'm a huge space junkie, but we're so spoiled with Kennedy Space Center.
That's right.
So if we weren't from where we're from, I think it would have been absolutely stop the trip. We need to go there, but unfortunately, we did not make it to Johnson Space Center.
Yeah, Kennedy Space Center is just as great down there in Cape Canaveral, and if you've never been, highly recommend it. We've yet to see a launch. We've seen from a distance, but we haven't been there for an actual launch. It's awesome.
Yeah, I just want to pause you. We do have a special guest in the room.
All right.
I want to let you know. I want you to introduce who we have in the room. Maybe say it in Spanish.
Gloria.
No.
Ah, yes, of course. Victor Lara, our driver who took us to various places. I was wanting to mention him. He was great. He gave us a full in-depth tour and told us everywhere where to go. And so Victor Lara, he was awesome to see you.
Hola, primo.
Gracias, mi amigo Victor.
So if you guys ever are in the Houston area and you need, if you want a driver, a huge car, very comfortable car,
yes,
please, we will connect you with our friend Victor. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so we landed in Houston, and we obviously see the astronaut there it says Houston landed. You've landed in Houston with a Texas flag, so that's pretty cool. We're just talking about Desi. There he is. We took a picture at that's the first night. We had a different hotel before we checked into our host hotel, and there is our baskets that we made to all those that stayed with us.
We get packages with us,
So we had a package, but it included the hotel, the Finvan Social. Big shout out to Richmond Webb. We'll get into that in a moment. And you got the Finvan Social and tickets to the game. So
so that's your welcome bag upon arrival. So all our guests,
a lot of goodies in there, a lot of Dolphins
snacks and everything.
Yep, knows that. There's us at Shula's. Again, Shula's Steakhouse has been in Houston for a long time, but this was the last weekend. We did not know this going in, but unfortunately, they took down all the memorabilia.
They did.
If you go on Yelp, you'll see it that they had a bunch of memorabilia, but they took it all down. So that's Desi and his wife Darnell. We're there. We're enjoying our dinner, great dinner together, and but unfortunately, we didn't see any Don Shula memorabilia. So that was a bummer. And this is from our Finvan Social. Maybe you wanted to talk more about this.
Yeah, so shout out to the Drift Bar in Houston. It was a bar that I reached out to back in May. I was looking for a bar to have an event on Saturday. They could not have been cooler. Shout out to Jackson. He's the general manager, and everything we needed, hung the banner, speaker, whatever we needed, they come. And he was super excited that we were coming too, which is always great when you go to a different city and they welcome the opposing fans.
Sure.
So we had over 150 Dolphin fans.
No, more than that. He told us the final count. I got the bill to prove it. It was a lot more than that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was closer to probably 200, honestly.
Yeah. Well, we had 150 that bought
150,
tickets,
and then we had some that bought at the door. So
a lot of people also couldn't make it to the event. It got a little late. So but
about,
overall,
about 200, give or take.
Word got out there that Dolphins Dolphin fans were in town. The place was completely packed.
So what I loved about this place is that it had an indoor-outdoor concept. Unfortunately, the weather got a little icky towards the end of our party, but it was still super helpful to have the indoor-outdoor concept of the event. We ran a raffle to support TCC. We raised over $1,100. That all
over $1,000. I think it was 1,120 total.
Yeah,
but over $1,000. That was awesome. And this is a twofold thing. Number one, first and foremost, is raising awareness for DCC. We've done these initiatives throughout this year and previous years when we do these kind of events. So that's the first and foremost most important thing. And then right alongside it, and especially this year, we're a good friend and everyone. Yeah, go ahead, take it over.
Wait. Okay, so this is our check-in table at the door. We have our banner, and anybody who came in, they got a whole bunch of swag with the purchase ticket. And then the man of the 2 hours,
that's right,
Richmond Webb. The Richmond Webb was the host. Co-host of the party. So those who came to the party had an opportunity to meet Richmond, to hang out with Richmond. And it wasn't just like a regular autograph sign in next. Like, they spent time with Richmond. They hugged him. They shared stories. They knew Richmond back in the day. So it was just a great opportunity for those who love and admire and have watched Richmond Webb throughout his career have that moment with him that very often people don't have it with some of their favorite players. So we're very grateful for Richmond to join us at the party. He donated one of a signed jersey. We were able to raffle that off. He had a great time. He's the man of the people.
Yep. We had 5 baskets. We had a Dolphin speaker. We had a Jason Taylor, a big Jason Taylor plush doll.
That was complimentary of Daddy with TPP.
Yes,
he donated that, so we appreciate that.
So we had a bunch of, but the highlight was the Richmond Webb jersey, and the highlight of him being there was again the fact that he taught the final 25 semifinalists for the Hall of Fame, and we are all doing our part. You see there the Finn Sasson, Bob Sanson, getting him to sign his autograph, his custom-made jersey that he had. There's Richmond giving one of the baskets away. And so, again, everybody came together here for Richmond's cause. I got on the mic. I was, doing a couple chants. When I say Richmond, you say Webb. And then we all were chanting Hall of Fame, because we're all doing our part and wanting so bad to get him that gold jacket and be enshrined in Canton forever.
So, fun fact, Richmond, we had an event for him back in September, after our opening weekend, and I had a big wheel that I brought, and we always sold raffle tickets, and I wanted Richmond to pick out the ticket, right? I wanted him to go and pick out the ticket. So this time I brought a smaller wheel because obviously we had to check in luggage. No shot of his hand, no shot of even my hand going in. So shout out to our buddy Jack from Boca Raton, 7 years old. He picked out the ticket. So
that was great.
That's the wheel, and there's Jack hanging out there.
Yeah, next one. So look at this. This is a super cool moment. As mentioned, we had a bunch of cool prizes. One of them was a 1974 basket. We'll get into that in a moment of our tour, a private tour of Rice Stadium. But here's Richmond Webb. You could go to an auction. You can go to one of these sporting signing events, and you could buy memorabilia from the player. But it's very rare when the player himself hands you the jersey that he signed.
He's the best.
So this was so cool. Here's our winner. He won the Richmond Webb jersey. He actually wore it to the game the next day.
I was like, bro, what are you doing?
But,
he's like, I'm going to put it in a frame after. And I was like, no, don't. Because, I got my Mostert jersey signed last year at this time during Christmas.
That's right.
And he hasn't had a great year, but I haven't worn it because whatever.
Yeah. But so, here's us at the party. But no, it was awesome to have Richmond Webb there. That's Bourbon Benny. Courtesy of Dave, our buddy Dave. He brought him over. And then look at that turnout. You had said 150, but it looks like there's
more
300 people there.
To the right. Yeah, it was packed.
A lot of people were there. H-Town Dolphin fan group was out there. There's Richmond, myself and you on his way out after he did, like I said, a great job mingling with the crowd, signing some autographs, and just celebrating and taking it in that, all of our Dolphin fans were there together for him.
Yeah, so the party was fantastic. And then, so that night, we had an amazing dinner since we're progressing with the trip. that night, I wanted Italian food. I'm Italian descent. I wanted Italian food, and it was like, we're not going to Houston to have an Italian food. So I was like, no, we are, because this place. So we found this place called Lombardi's, and you guys know Lou and I love to eat. Obviously, you can see by our size, and
my size. What's yours?
I'd be surprised, but no. And so we went to this place in really nice area of Houston, not so it's downtown, and it was called Lombardi's. And super fancy, not really fancy, but just a beautiful ambience. Everybody there was beautiful. Guy, girl, a server, everybody was just a beautiful ambience. And the point of story is we had one of the best meals.
That's great.
In our life. So people say, you go to Houston, obviously for like Mexican food and, like barbecue. Lombardi's in Houston was one of the best. And we've eaten in New York, we've eaten in Chicago, Jersey, Lombardi's. Okay, sorry, go on.
No, so yeah, that was a tremendous meal, but that was our nightcap. We started our morning. You saw that we did the party in the afternoon, but we started our morning by doing this tour of Rice Stadium.
Yeah.
Of course, Houston, Texas was the last location where the Dolphins won their last Super Bowl, Super Bowl 8 back in 1974, January 13th, 1974, to be accurate. And, so these are some press clippings that we got from that game. And we found that the venue is exactly the same as it was essentially in that day. So here's us. This is our group. We had 20 total in our group, and that's us in front of the stadium. This is us taking a tour. As you see there, they're all concrete. Well, the midfield is not, but the end zones are concrete seats, so they don't have a chair back.
Trying it out.
Correct. And so
you see a lot of butt cracks sitting there.
Yes, you do. But it looks exactly as it did. Next picture we got coming up here. This is us in the actual locker room.
In the locker.
The locker room where the Dolphins not only suited up for that game, but back before the Super Bowl got all fancy and had confetti and fireworks and a podium and a stage, the commissioner, legends, to give out the Vince Lombardi trophy. They didn't do that back in the day. They took the trophy into the locker room, and that's where it handed out. Yeah. So we are here in the Dolphin locker room that was used on that same day, the exact locker room, and where the Vince Lombardi trophy was handed out to Don Shula. So that's pretty cool. This is me going down the tunnel. Our group went from the locker rooms down the tunnel, the same exact tunnel that the Dolphins went. As you see there, if you go back to the other picture, can you go back?
Of course.
There's the tunnel. You see the white and the blue, and then you can go back here.
Yeah.
And you see that it's the exact same. We essentially walked down, not essentially, we walked down the same exact tunnel that the Dolphins and the Vikings did that day. Here's a really cool picture. You can see Larry Zonka, who was the MVP of Super Bowl 8. In the background, you can see the tunnel. It says Rice Owls, but back then it said Rice Stadium or Rice University. And, it's just a cool picture because it's right there. Here's us huddling up at the 5-yard line. And you got the picture of the scoreboard.
Yep.
We were able to put, if you see there, the score, Dolphins 24, Vikings 7. So we were able to get the actual score from that day's game on the scoreboard. So that was pretty awesome. And then the stadium is also famous for the John F. Kennedy speech, where he essentially said that we Americans choose to go to the moon. And so this is a big plaque that commemorated that speech. So it was pretty cool. Here's us on the Houston train,
Metro.
On the way, Metro
South,
on the way to the NRG Stadium / the Astrodome. I didn't put the picture of the Astrodome side by side, but this is Ashley trying to get Texan Santa Claus to get us a win. But
that's the real Santa.
It is, but she tried, and he said, I don't know if I can do that. So we started off pretty bad there. That's NRG Stadium behind us. Pretty awesome. Nice venue. This is the Hall of Famer, the first Hall of Famer ever for the Houston Texans, Andre Johnson, of course, from the University of Miami. Yeah. So I had to throw up to you there. And here's what we're talking about, the world famous Astrodome. This is the first ever stadium in the entire world to have a roof over it. All stadiums were open air before the Houston Astrodome opened up in 1968. So this was pretty cool to see this. When it was first built, it was known as the eighth wonder of the world, because nobody had seen this before. So it's pretty awesome.
And one thing about us is we're big sport history buffs. We love stadiums. We love the architect of it. We love the history. So this was a very bittersweet moment to actually see it in person. Although we did see YouTube videos of people sneaking in. We definitely tried to press our luck. We saw like, hey, how could we? But we did not.
No, it's definitely jam-packed. You can't get in there. It's sealed up. This is obviously the two helmets colliding. The Dolphins go back. The Dolphins huddling up before their big opportunity that they let go away. And here again, you see the final score of Super Bowl VIII. Here's Ashley on the rooftop. Our hotel had a really cool rooftop that overlooked the whole downtown Houston skyline. So she did her best modeling pose.
I want to hear more about it.
Saturday night. So yeah, there you go. She's got her Texas boots on and her hot outfit, and she's ready for a night out in the town in Houston.
That's a great picture of me.
It is.
Really?
Yeah, it is indeed.
Okay. Just kidding. God.
So yeah, this is a team coming out of the tunnel to what was supposed to be a big win, but didn't come out to fruition there.
And that's their show.
And that's what we got. So now look, it was unfortunately the game didn't go our way, but we had a lot of great activities. We had a lot of fun stuff, highlighted by obviously when you're able to raise money for DCC and give back to that, that's what it's all about. And it was a twofold cause, obviously, to do that, but also to bring awareness for Richmond Webb to get into the Hall of Fame. I mentioned went to Shula's. Shula's didn't have any memorabilia, but I was asking our waiter for a pen because Shula's has their own pens. He said, we ran out of everything. We have nothing. But he said, wait a second. I think I have this little flashlight that we use to, it's a steakhouse. So to show the customer how their steak looks.
Oh, the steak.
Yeah, to show that their steak is, medium rare or pink or however you order it. So medium they gave us this really cool flashlight that's, again, used for the I'm doing my little Morse code here, but it's used to show the customer that their steak is done to their liking. So that was pretty cool. He gave us a couple of these. I got one to Desi and Darnell and you. And then, as mentioned, everybody who joined us on the tour Rice Stadium that we put together. And that was not easy, by the way. We couldn't get the green light. We would have had a lot more people there, but Rice had a commitment. They got a brand new coach, and he was doing recruiting that Saturday. So we could only confirm like 2 days earlier. But anyways, we had 20 people that joined us on our tour, and all 20 were able to receive a pin that we had. So they could either receive a champions pin with a score on it, a Larry Zonka MVP of Super Bowl VIII pin, or they got my favorite, the Dueling Logos pin with the Houston, Texas on it and Super Bowl VIII, and a date, January 13th, 1974. So yeah, some cool items. Like I said, we had a great time. We didn't stop. It was a nonstop trip of doing all these activities and obviously making sure everyone who traveled with us was safe and having a good time and enjoying themselves. And
I do want to mention after the game, us in our depression that they lost.
Yeah.
We went bar hopping. We found some really cool bars. And then after drinking, we went to like one of the oldest bars, went to this, there's so many things we're going to post on it later, but really cool places. And then we went to another Mexican restaurant that I had scheduled on Lou's and mine itinerary, kind of knowing that we were going to go there. We just didn't know where it was going to fall.
That's right.
It's kind of like the Versailles of Miami in Houston. It's one of a staple. It's called El Tiempo Cantina.
Great place.
The food was just fantastic. Like just everything, the drinks, the dessert. So the two Mexican restaurants that I picked out for you were just excellent. So we did that. And then Monday, obviously, we checked out of the hotel, and we were just so busy during the trip, making sure everyone was good, the parties, the tour, the game, that it's important that when I go to a city, I want to know everything, right? And like I said before, we love history. So on Monday morning before we left, we did the double-decker bus tour.
Yeah.
A lot of cities have it. We've done it in New Orleans. We've done it, I'm like blanking on different cities we've done it. Victoria, British Columbia. Yep. So we did that, and you really, really learn a lot of cool things about the city. One of my favorite things was the building. That the top was like an Aztec design, and then the bottom was corporate. So
yeah, very cool. Obviously, with the proximity close to Mexico, they had a Mayan temple almost built on top of a modern building. That was pretty awesome. Also learned the fact that since we were very busy, as you mentioned, all week, making sure everybody was having a good time and all the events that we had going on, we didn't find out this cool nugget about Houston, that there's an actual hole underground to the city. 95 blocks worth of underground, and I know you were looking for a donut shop for breakfast one day, and I was looking for the bank. And when we put our GPS, it showed both times that we were right there.
Yeah.
You went out on your own one morning before I got up, and then I went looking for the bank, and it says we were there, but we weren't. And then on the tour, we found out that there is a whole underground city in Houston, which is remarkable.
But it's not like a city. What it reminds me of, like a mall corridor.
Yeah.
Where it's not like.
Right. So basically, it's but you can only access it through corporate office buildings or banks. So it's not just like, retail space up top and you go down. It's in big buildings, like I said, corporate offices or banks, and that's where you access the underground through their lobbies. And then again, that just opens up to a whole bunch of shops, drugstores, everything you want is down there. Starbucks, the bank, everything that you wanted was down in the underground, and you could travel from point A to point B in the city.
The streets in Houston, it was like 1:00, and the streets were dead. And 1:00 is like lunchtime. So, and Houston's one of the top cities in America for a lot of corporates.
Yep.
Corporations have their headquarters in Houston. So you're thinking, hey, if Chevron and Wells Fargo, Bank of America have these huge headquarters there, where are the people? It's because they say it's so hot in Houston, which it's.
Yeah, no, it is. It's hot, so they want to escape that heat and go down.
Yeah.
But look, Houston, tremendous city, was decorated immensely for Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like lights all over, all kinds of decorations, and very festive the way they decorated for Christmas. Also, we love sports, so we were able to see Minute Maid Park, which is not going to be named Minute Maid Park for much longer. I guess it got a new name. And we also saw the Toyota Center where the Rockets play, and in front of it we saw not a statue. It was just like a memorial, not a memorial because he's still with us, but it honored Akeem Olajuwon and it had his jersey number on it. And it turns out that because Akeem Olajuwon is of Islamic faith, he cannot have a statue made of his likeness. That's against his religion. Yeah, so because he's one of the greatest players to ever play in the NBA. So that caught my attention. I thought, wow, they could have done better than that. But I was
religious.
Exactly.
All glory to God.
Exactly. You're right. So you knew that. I didn't. So
of course.
But no, Houston was awesome. It was
all right, guys. So before we let you go, let's let's touch into this week. Like I said, 49ers come to town. We have the same record as them. They're pretty beat up. We have our own beat upness. And it's a 4:25 game. So our friends on the West Coast, you get to enjoy a 1:00 game instead of having Pizza Hut pizza at 10:00 in the morning. So that'll be fun for you guys. And we are favored by 1 point, right?
We are favored by 1 point,
which is nothing. That's a coin toss. I mean,
correct. These are two teams that don't play that often. Obviously, being in different conferences. The all-time series, the Dolphins actually lead 8-6. Unfortunately, one of those games was Super Bowl 19 back in 1985, Marino versus Montana, and the Dolphins did not fare well in that. That's their last Super Bowl they played in back in 1985 in Palo Alto, California, which is not far from San Francisco. So that was essentially a home game for them. So Dolphins lead the all-time series 8-6, but the 49ers got the best of us when it counted. And they most recently met 2 years ago in Santa Clara. That was a Brock Purdy versus Tua Tagovailoa start. And that was actually Brock Purdy's first ever start.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people by now know that Brock Purdy wears the number 13 because of Dan Marino, because his dad played baseball at the University of Miami, and he was a big Dan Marino fan growing up. So, that's the story on the Niners and Brock Purdy.
Yeah, so let's jump into the injury report. Obviously, we still are 2-3 days out. So what we're looking at right now is Teron Armstead did not participate, but
Shocker.
That's kind of what we have seen with the norm with him. The other one, Blake Ferguson, he has a non-football illness.
Nice.
So he's another one that has some issues going on. Jalen Waddle, he did not participate either. So we found out later that it was a knee injury. We really don't know the extent to it. Jalen Waddle's one of those people who they keep his injuries very on the down low. You've kind of seen that throughout his injuries in his short career, but they keep it very hush-hush. So he did not participate. Another one who did not participate, which is a big concern, and I saw this earlier today, was Tua, his hip.
Right.
So
that's just, I think they're putting him on the injury. They're putting him on the injury report, but I don't see him, missing this game.
And then, he was limited. He participated.
Yeah, but that's limited. That's just,
And then obviously Bradley Yeah, so.
Which I don't see Bradley Chubb either. I mean, at this point, he's missed the entire season. For him to come back, for the last 3 games, when, let's be real, the chances of us making the playoffs, and we'll get into the scenarios that need to take place, are slim and none. I don't see what benefit you would have Bradley Chubb come back. Remember, he suffered that injury in Week 17 last year against the Baltimore Ravens. So, for him to come back, he's not even a full year recovered from the surgery and from that injury. I just the risk is too high for me as opposed to the reward for him playing.
Definitely. On the other side, Nick Bosa, their defensive end, he's dealing with a hip oblique injury. Wednesday he was limited, and then today he did not participate. So
right. Yeah, Nick Bosa's missed some time.
Yeah.
Obviously McCaffrey's out, but they've had Guerrero, Isaac Guerrero, I believe his name is, a running back, did a formidable job last week against the Rams. It's funny, once we landed in Houston, that game was going on. So they're going to be fully rested as they can be, besides those who you mentioned on the injury report. But they're going to be coming into this game with 10 days off since they played the Thursday night game. So they'll relatively be healthy and ready to go. You mentioned both teams got a 6-8 record. But while we are completely out of the division, the 49ers still have a chance. They're 2 games back from the Rams and the Seahawks, who are both 8-6. The Arizona Cardinals are at 7-7, and the 49ers are right now in last place.
It's a meaningful game for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers still have a chance at the division, so they're going to be obviously more inclined to. They have more at stake than we do. We just got to win and hope like 20 different scenarios fall our way, which I'll go into that. Right now, we're, of course, 6-8. We're tied with the Colts, but we're really not because we lost that game to them earlier in the year. And then we're 8-9 with the Colts on the outside looking in.
With the Browns and the Jets coming up, both away games.
Correct. 5, 6, and 7 right now. You got the Ravens and the Broncos tied at 9-5, and the Chargers at 8-6. Against those 2 teams are playing right now. The game is just kicked off a short time ago.
Can I add that, you think the Browns, you think the Jets, you think of whatever franchises, but they're going to be cold games. And I'm going to say the word narrative, cold. And on top of that, Jersey has some drones going on too. So
you're up against the cold and the drones. Those drones might be, catching our warm-ups and our pregame.
Game.
Exactly.
Bill Belichick drones.
Bill Belichick might be sending those drones to.
No, but it's not a joke about this. It's pretty serious.
No, I know. It's crazy. But again, the 49ers kind of have a shot. We need a lot of help. Right now, the Chargers are our closest team. They're currently in the 7th spot. They're 8-6. Had we won this past Sunday, we would have been 7-7. And had the Chargers lost tonight, they would have been 8-7. Okay. So we would have had an opportunity there. But right now, we're up against it. We need the Chargers. We either need the Chargers, the Ravens, or the Broncos to lose all 3 games, but you already know that one of those can't happen because the Chargers and the Broncos are playing each other. So whoever loses that game, you need them to lose twice more. Okay. And then as a backup, you need the Ravens to lose their last 3. That's going to be tough. And then you need the Colts to drop a game because you're tied with them. You can't finish tied with them. So again, to recap, you need the Chargers or the Broncos to lose their last 3, including tonight. You need the Ravens to drop 3 in a row, and you need the Colts to drop a game.
Did you also leave the cookies out for Santa and put your tooth under the pillow for the tooth fairy?
All that stuff. They need all that.
Okay,
they need a rabbit foot. They need holy water.
Happen, that's a lot. That needs to happen.
That's a lot.
So I don't know if you said you believe in that, and then you also believe in the tooth fairy.
And you know what? Even if all that worked and we were able to get in, unfortunately, and this is where I'm just going to be real. There's nothing. There has been absolutely nothing that I've seen this year because we haven't been beating a good team. There's nothing that would make me feel good about having to go into Buffalo, Kansas City, or Pittsburgh.
Or even this week against the 49ers.
Correct. But I'm just saying, if we were to get in, I see no way that we could win a game in Kansas City, in Buffalo, or in Pittsburgh, or even back in Houston if it came to that. I just don't see it. This team has proven time and time again that when the pressure is up against them, when they need a big drive, when they need to pull ahead in a game, not be conservative, not miss extra points, not turn the ball over, not mismanage the clock, they have not proven that they could do it. So
guys, drop your score prediction.
You gonna give yours?
We've been really bad at this season. Like, I'm glad we didn't put money on this because. But yeah, guys, what do you think? Dolphins again favored by 1 against San Francisco 49ers. We know that Niners gang travels very well, so they'll have a good presence there. Both teams are banged up, but it's an even matchup per se. 49ers are a good team.
Yep.
So what do you guys think? Put your score prediction in the chat.
While we wait for the room to chime in, two things. Number one, when this game was put on the schedule, everybody was looking forward to this game being a monster game at the end of the year between the 49ers, who made it to the Super Bowl last year, and the Dolphins, who a lot of people thought we would win the AFC East and be in a good position right now. So nobody could have expected for this game to be a 6-8 teams.
I'm going to put these predictions if you can read them.
Yep. Go ahead. So we have.
Sorry.
What do we got here? We got.
Sorry.
We got Brent. Brent is saying Dolphins 23-17. Vince for the win.
Okay.
I like that. Sandy, our good friend in California, says Dolphins 24-21.
Okay.
We got South Florida G. His prediction is Dolphins 27-24. All right. Okay. So we got a couple of predictions. You want to go to yours, or should I jump in first?
I'm going to do mine. I got a number in my head.
Go for it.
27-17 49ers.
27-17 49ers. Wow. Okay. I didn't expect that. Look,
and I said they were going to win all these other games, and look at that.
Yeah, the last couple of games I predicted the Dolphins would win. They didn't. But hold on. At the beginning of the year, I predicted they would lose in Buffalo. I said they were going to lose in Seattle, even though we got married out there. So I've called it like I see it, and I've
that's exactly what I've
gone against it. I haven't been coming out here every week saying the Dolphins are going to win. This week, I think they're going to win. I think they're going to have problems their last 2 games on the road, as you mentioned, in the snow or in the deep cold. But I think this year, playing against the banged up 49ers team, and they're going to be at home, the last home game of the year. The end zones are going to be painted awkward because the Hurricanes aren't playing anymore. So I'm going to give the edge to the Dolphins here. Defense played good enough to win last week. I don't think we're going to turn the ball over 4 times. I got the Dolphins winning this game 23-16.
Okay. That is true. 2 of my friends.
Yes. Did you told them the story?
Yeah.
Okay,
so 2 of my friends are Catholic priests, and one of them is a 49ers fan. He's never gone to an NFL game. And the other one is a priest, and priests don't always get to live and do fun things. So
especially on Sundays.
Exactly.
So you are bringing them with us?
I am ending this. I'm getting holy divine mercy into the stadium.
Hey, we can't win with 2 priests in attendance in our group. I don't know what to tell you.
So.
Yeah, and also big shout out to a bigger celebrity than the priest, if that's even possible. And I'm not talking about Jesus. I'm talking about our good friend of the program, Sheldon Young. Sheldon won our contest at the beginning of the year. Yeah. For those of you who missed it, and we'll do it again next year, at the beginning of the year, we had to guess the opponent, the Dolphins' first opponent contest on our show, and Sheldon correctly predicted the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we took all those who also predicted the Jaguars. We took them all. We put them in a wheel, and Sheldon's name got called. So Sheldon is joining us from South Carolina. He's flying down on Saturday. We're going to have dinner with him on Saturday night. And so, yeah, big shout out to Sheldon Young, the winner of our contest, friend of the show, friend in general, and hardcore Dolphin fan. He will be with us in the building Sunday.
You mentioned Jacksonville. Josephine Evie, North Florida, Dolphin prediction. She thinks the Dolphins. She hopes. Josephine Evie, we do have some bad news for you. Unfortunately, you will not be seeing the 4:25 Dolphin game because the Jaguars.
Oh, so she's going to get the local game.
She's going to get the local game that time. So, unfortunately, you will miss that. So stream it on your illegal networks.
There you go. All right, well, let's end the show on this. I know you want to wrap up Houston at the world too, but let's talk about a team that's actually winning, the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Big game last night. They beat the Minnesota Wild 6-1. They dominated them. Matthew Tkachuk had 2 goals. And then going back to Monday, a Stanley Cup Finals rematch in Edmonton, back in the scene of the crime. They were able to win that game as well, 6-5, and a big shootout score. So the Panthers right now are sitting at 20-12. They are half a game back of the Atlantic Division of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are also playing good hockey. But hey, a lot of bad news with the Dolphins. The Canes had a bad outlook. But the Panthers, they're still riding that wave from being champions last year.
It's a long season still. I've been saying that, but it's
Yeah,
still long. We're not even halfway through, so we just got to keep the momentum going. Don't, every game counts.
No doubt.
So keep chugging.
Yeah.
And the Heat, we've missed some Heat games, being on the road, traveling, so we've neglected our Heat. Obviously, the Jimmy Butler trade rumors are just out of control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so discouraging. And Jimmy, he's not denying it, but he's not confirming it. So it's just very frustrating. Obviously, we want him to retire as a Miami player. He's 34, almost 35 years old. We know his time's not forever. But it's just distracting to hear that, he wants to go here, 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 here. And we don't even know if it's true.
Yeah, I think that just, like I said, stories being planted out there. I don't see him leaving Miami. He's got an option for next year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to decline that option. And I think you'll see that the Heat work something out with him to keep him here 2 or 3 more years at a discounted, amount of money. But they'll make it work.
And before we wrap up, Giannis and team ended up winning the cup, but they don't take it serious. You know what I mean? Like the Bucks didn't want a whole celebration and stuff.
Well, you say don't take it seriously, but if you saw the purse, the winning team got $500,000 per player.
Yeah,
not as a team.
But they didn't want to celebrate the whole thing. They didn't have like a big.
Of course, and it shouldn't be celebrated. I mean, look, the season starts in late October. We're in December.
Yeah.
What is an NBA Cup going to do for you come June when you want to be playing for an NBA final? So, I think it's a good gimmick for those that whatever, but the NBA is just getting too gimmicky. They're changing the All-Star, format again this year for the All-Star game.
It might actually mean something this time.
There's no, it's an exhibition game.
Good way.
And what they should do is put the top 24 players, 12 on the East, 12 on the West, and play a basketball game.
Agreed.
I don't need to have a gimmick. Once Kobe passed, rest his soul, they were saying, okay, now we're going to play to, 24 because of Kobe. And then they changed the format again. Then it was Team LeBron. He got to pick, they're doing too much. The NBA is getting a little bit too gimmicky. Stick to what's worked for, all these years. Just put out the best players, play team ball, play some defense because nobody's playing defense these days in the NBA, and do what you've been doing, Yeah, so that's it.
So we'll see. All right, guys. Well, it has been fun. We are still recuperating from Houston. As we mentioned before, we had a great time.
Still haven't unpacked.
Well, I unpacked one bag.
One bag.
And a half.
One bag. You got 4 to go.
Yeah.
We had to take a lot of bags out there. We had a lot of
trouble heavy, and you just don't know.
We had a lot of giveaways, a lot of stuff that we put on out there. So it was, besides the game, we just had a great time. And, I know some people also said, oh, wow, you're 0-3 on the road this year. It's true. We are.
Well,
exactly.
They don't travel with us. They don't have means to.
But it's not traveling or, it's hard to win on the road. It's hard to win on the road. And the fact is that, we were riding a 6-game winning streak 2 seasons ago where we went 3 years in a row without, suffering a defeat. So it's been a little rough go at it this year. But look, it's hard to win on the road. Unfortunately, the season has not gone according to plan from an injury standpoint and some bad, luck that we've had. But hey, we'll get back on our horse and we're not going to stop supporting our team on the road. And
in addition, we're actually looking to do more trips. Maybe a Marlins trip, and it's not bad luck.
Yeah,
it's our team. Like
we support our team, man. You got to be ride or die.
As JD always says, Canes fan of the year, ride or die. We don't leave early.
It'll make it that more special when we do win it, and that hopefully day is coming soon. And you just got to stick to your team. You don't just say, all right, I'm just going to like them when they're doing well. So yeah.
And so I saw on Facebook, someone said CBS is not going to show the game. Is this true?
I'm not sure. I mean, it might be on Fox. I mean, San Francisco is an NFC team, and they do most of the NFC team. So it might be on Fox. You might get it on Fox, actually.
You might get
I'll look to see where
we'll let you know.
I'll let you know.
All right, guys. Well, it has been fun. Holidays. I cannot believe the holidays and Christmas. Everything's next week.
That's right.
Less than a week.
Yeah.
Like that is just Thanksgiving was late this year.
Christmas Eve falls on Tuesday, and then Wednesday is Christmas Day. I never like it when it falls in the middle of the week because it breaks up the week. I always like it when it's on a Monday or Friday, so you get the extension, because it sucks to work 2 days, then have a holiday off, and then have to go back to work. So,
agreed.
I like it more when it's on a Thursday or Friday or Monday or Tuesday to not have a break in between there. Not in the middle of the week.
It's a wonderful time.
It is.
There will be no snow in South Florida. We are heading to North Florida where it's going to be in the 30s and 40s. So we will have a little bit of a Christmas spirit to that. So we will figure out a time to do a show next week. Obviously, we'll not be on Christmas or Noche Buena, Christmas Eve.
Right.
But hopefully our next show, we talk about a nice Dolphins win against the Niners and previewing going to Cleveland. Well, not us, the Dolphins.
Yeah, but hopefully we get a lot of gifts too in terms of the teams that we need to lose.
Well, that's
to lose as well. We need a lot of help. So hopefully Santa's nice to us. Hopefully Santa's nice to you as well. And you guys, get what you want out there, the gifts, and you also give gifts. Just as important as receiving. Giving is also important, especially those that are in need. So be nice, be kind, and all that good stuff.
Definitely, guys. So may you enjoy this special time of the year with your family. May your NFL teams win, except the teams that we need them to lose. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. Have a good night, guys. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. What do we got for